Welcome back to another episode. It is May 27th. Um, we are on the other side of the Pistons exiting the NBA playoffs about a week, probably about a week, a week away, a week out from them exiting the NBA playoffs. I think overall, we'll both kind of have our opinions and talk through that, but really, I'd say overall for myself, proud of what I saw. I think the expectations there to meet all of that. Had to get out the mud a little bit. It's probably the most get out the mud one seed I've witnessed. They managed to go down 3-1 and go down and come back and win. Managed to go down 3-2 and come back and at least force a game seven. So I think just given some of the circumstances, um, just how some players played and just how the roster's kind of put together. I think came up a little short, but I don't even like to say that. I think a successful season in my eyes. Obviously we'll dive into that. Give you the floor here to kind of talk through what your thoughts are. We'll talk about Sarah Thompson a little bit, Jalen Duren, and just really talk about the Pistons just post playoff run. But yeah, no, I'll kick it to you, Ian. Just going to see your thoughts on how things transpired.
Yeah, no. So I think we mentioned, I would say probably in January we kind of called a halt to everything and said, hey, should we be raising expectations for this team? That's when we were completely rolling through the league. We might have been in the middle of that crazy win streak we had, and I think at that point in time it was a good, healthy time. And we both said second round push, fight for an Eastern Conference, and I think that is kind of where we landed at the end of the season. Very tough loss. Particularly in Game Seven. I just feel like it was brutal. Wheels kind of fell off, but leading up to that point, you had a phenomenal season. Cade earned All NBA, Duran earned All NBA, Sar Thompson finished what, third in Defensive Player of the Year voting. You signed a couple of guys from G League, that Dennis Jenkins, and made household names out of him, or household Piston names out of him. So I think a lot of positive things. Cade officially superstar status, two back-to-back All NBAs, two back-to-back All Stars. He's here until his exit in the NBA playoffs. It led to NBA playoffs in scoring. So I think these are all checkmark things where you could be excited. It just was very, very bad exit. That's the best thing. Worst thing I could say is just in moments throughout the, let's go back one more series. In moments throughout the Magic series, we just looked nothing like a first seed overall. And then in moments at the Cavs, we looked nothing like first seeds in spurts. And then the exact opposite, where we look completely dominating, going on like 32-3 runs and stuff. So I think those are the ups and downs of a young team, but also it shows maybe a bit of a structural issue. If you're really going to push it for a championship, things you got to redo to build the roster, just to make sure that can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think they kind of caught the gate, and I think everybody was kind of just shocked as the amount of games they won. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, you just saw it because it's kind of translated. Like you said, it was pretty ugly. But I just think like, man, I think for me, I even think farther back, like you go from like early last year, like couldn't close the game, kind of figure it out, around January, and then hit like a big streak to be able to get that sixth seed. And then you go from like, you know, hunting, just kind of like being thrown in like that hunted mode, and like I don't know, I feel like it almost felt like things were just happening so rapidly like that that they just kind of took a couple punches in the face and was like, oh, now all of a sudden we have like what you calling on our back, like
Yeah.
tugging on our back, like. So I don't know. I think that's probably the most interesting thing for me is just watching like the team's like growth through all that in real time. You know what I'm saying? Because now I just feel like they like a top three seed next year. It'll be more of like now we're kind of expecting to be here and you won't get so caught off guard. Orlando was a
Yeah.
tough matchup, but it was also just very like game one. I'm like, okay, like this is gonna get interesting. And but yeah, I just give him credit, man. He's got out the mud and really just like struggled and came out hot against the Cavs. I just feel like kind of fizzled out over time. And we can definitely talk about a lot of the fouls. And so I do feel like not a big. I don't know. I do kind of feel like this is a scenario I'm comfortable with kind of saying. I think the free throws also made a big impact in how that series went down. Fouls like game five, I mean, played bad for 3 minutes, let them tie it, but everybody saw Jared Allen trip Asar Thompson. Um,
Yep.
I just feel it was just a very very tough. Like you were great. It was awesome to see game six. They was able to just like go get that one, but like that part of me is like that should have been the one, the clincher.
Close out.
And
Yeah.
given how the Cavs showed up against the Knicks.
Right. No, they got washed against the Knicks, and I don't think we wouldn't have got washed like that. I think even
Mhm.
if the Knicks did squeeze it out, that I think I was going six. it's very tough because I'm big on holding the refs accountable, especially when it's blatant calls like that. Like we'll go back to rewind the clock 1 year ago and the foul versus the Knicks that on Tim Hardaway that wasn't called.
Hmm.
Fast forward to this, we're getting tripped at the end of games. Asar Thompson, and it's not even like a gimme. I mean, he would have still had to sink a free throw. And he's like a 55% free throw shooter, but we needed opportunity because it just fell apart. It fell apart in the overtime. Like you said, they had that big push leading up to that. Kind of all the air fell out. We got that foul. The team's kind of down. We're still a pretty young team. Roll into overtime. It's just done. And I think they had, you can call it being a trickster or getting foul baiting or whatever. But James Harden, it is. I forgot how much I hated him until I was watching that series.
Yeah.
It took me back to like 2017, 2016 when I was watching them versus Golden State and when he was out in Houston. It was just like you are good enough just to get these shots off. You don't have to do all of this shit. And
Yeah.
it just seems worse now. Maybe it's because against my team, but he's just that much more fat, that much more
No,
sloppy,
man.
and
Yeah.
it's
I
just
mean, it's
just lazy
theatrics.
work now where he's just yeah,
Yeah.
and they're just giving him the call because that's what they've always done. Um,
Well, I feel like it's kind of really
just
like Donovan Mitchell after game two was like, I'm going to the hole, I'm not getting calls. And that, I mean, he shot 15 free throws game four.
mhm,
And I don't know. And I mean, like, it was kind of funny listening to JB Bickerstaff. He's saying press conferences a lot like, he'd be like, you know, pretty much every time we win one, he'd be like, I'm glad we got to play like our brand of basketball tonight. Like, not out of the line, just handsy, physical, like all within the
mhm,
rules. And I just think there's a lot of times where like that, that wasn't the case. Like we just kind of, yeah, just kind of missed out on a lot of. He had some bad calls in the bonus. 7 minutes into the quarter, like it's kind of tough to
yeah.
like,
No,
yeah, get going like that.
completely agree, and I think that'd be hard regardless of how good your roster is built, how good of all that. If you're dealing with playing another NBA team and the refs, it's you know a hard matchup. So I think all that's true. And I'm not trying to minimize that at all. It's just I want to I do think there's also moments where I just feel like we look so out of place. I think
Yeah.
Bickerstaff should have. I think every fan, whether it's you, my dad, my brothers, people on Twitter, they're just saying, "Hey, we have to pull Duran's minutes. Like we have to lower them. Uh, play Paul Reed more. Paul Reed, I'll be willing to hop on the bed if you looked at plus minus for the playoffs. He has to be in top five. So,
Oh
like
yeah.
he is. And
I mean,
when
it's just a
Duran
pro's pro.
Duran when Duran got hurt or fouled out, I forgot exactly what happened, but he was forced to play for a good stretch.
He had that crazy
And that
and
was
one.
some of the best stretch basketball we played in that whole series
Yeah.
was when he was in the game making things happen. We become a little more versatile offensively, and it makes us a different team. So I think we have to address the elephant in the room of what are we doing with Duran. We have to also address the elephant in the room as far as great as Cade is, he he needs a real legit point guard on the team. Not a guy that is going to be a primary shot taker, but a guy that can run the offense when Cade is tired or run the offense when out there with the second unit. Um, what's my man's name for? Max Strauss. He had I don't know what their mission was, but you could tell when they told him whenever Cade takes the ball out and dribbles the ball up the court, you have to pick him up 94 feet. And that tired Cade out. I think it frustrated him a little bit. It made him exert that much more energy. And then you started noticing they were running Jenkins or Sard Thompson at point or just to alleviate that.
Here's
And then
LeVert.
Garrett LeVert. And he had some moments. Best basketball he played for us was as in the Piston uniform was a couple of those
right on time.
games. Yep, we needed it every little point of it. But I think just being honest about our man Cade, as great as he is, when you're playing off the ball like that, he needs to get that high post, that Kobe, that Melo high post. You see, even if he just getting in the gym with Tobias Harris, because Tobias Harris does it a lot. I think that is the next evolution of his game, where once you get a real point guard, other than coming up and basically running point yourself, can you get another shot off from out of a real bag, a real what's the word I'm looking for?
Go-to move. Yep.
Yeah, yep. And I think that's his next evolution, where I think you get him a real point guard, slide him down in there. So all he's doing now is when he not playing point, he just runs off a couple of screens, gets the ball, and plays point anyway. So versus getting the ball in the spot, having your go-to from there.
Yeah, I was definitely screaming to play Asar Thompson at point guard more too. So I just think there's just like I think there's something you gotta like just force the development. And I feel like if you're able to give Asar Thompson the ball, just like pick and roll, get downhill, it's like, okay, I go to the cup this time, maybe I get fouled. Then I'll learn like, okay, maybe get a couple shots blocked, get a dunk, layup here. Then it's like, all right, like now let's work like this floater. Let's try to get, see if we can get a little free throw shot. You know what I'm saying? Like free throw line on in, like get some of that action going. Like I just think that, I mean, we definitely need to get him, like you said, on the point guard, another scorer. But I just think there's like another gear for Asar Thompson that we got to try to like get to as well. I mean, of course the three ball too, but that's going to be huge. Got to make sure that we get that going. But yeah, it's
No.
kind of curious to see what they do, in time. I just commend like speaking of Asar Thompson, he went to like a real defensive demon. I mean, he had numbers that we haven't seen since like Ben Wallace. I think saw some. He averaged like 2.5 steals, 2.5 blocks. I mean, his defense, like he's like, I've never seen a player just create offense that efficiently, like that often, like just off of like pure instinct, deflections, steals.
Mm-hmm.
It's impressive
No, he's a
watching him
freak.
play. Like it. So I just hope that he can. I mean, can we get him shooting like 33% from three? Get these free throws up to like 70%. That's the thing too. He kind of turns unplayable late in games because he can't hit two free throws. He can't hit one free. I mean, he be kind of. He's got. I mean, he had like the blood clot and everything. So I think he get another good summer, like a
No,
full summer.
he's still pretty young himself. He's a liability on offense, though. Straight up, it's
Mhm.
him running point, like you said. Whether it's just being forced into making plays, that does seem to suit him better, and then he's not standing around so much and just doing nothing. But it's definitely not what you want to be. I don't think he needs to get those minutes in like October, November, December, not in the crunch time when backs against the wall in second round of the playoffs. So I think
Yeah.
that is it was just bad time to force him on it that heavy, just due to how they were playing us. And so I think all that's true. It's just I think this offseason you gotta probably target a top point guard. Whether you bring a Schroeder back or I've heard Anthony Simons or I'm gonna say his
You
name
like
wrong.
that
What's
off?
Ayo
Desumo?
Sumu? Yeah, I think any of them type of guys. I think
Kobe
a
White?
couple weeks ago you brought up Kobe White. I think you get them guys in there, then you can kind of play with it a little bit. Maybe we don't need Jenkins. Maybe we don't need I think maybe we can kind of figure out, get them all in there, figure out cream rises to the top, and go from there. But I think we got the prize jewel in the middle with Cade, and it's just figuring out the pieces around it. Looks like Asar Thompson probably is going to sign that like 5-year 160. I think that is a lot for a guy who's putting up 10 a game, but it is also, you got to think of mine, he's
10 a game, first team
top
all
three
defense.
player. Yeah, so I think
Yeah. I think he is the best
assuming
defensive
that
player in the
offense
league.
pick up a little bit. Yeah.
I do think he is the best one in the league. Like Wemby's just 7'4".
Mm-hmm. No,
Like,
the Club 520 boys, they also, we were talking about him a week or two ago, said just watching the tape, they said he's the best defender they think he's seen. Um, that's what Jeff Teague said. So I was like, okay, somebody,
yeah.
you start to get a recognition like that, and that's just probably the first of many. So you got to build around there, and I think it's just the team not being able to shoot that high of a volume, and then just being completely neutralized from our domination of the paint. Like Durn dominated the paint all season, probably the best center in the league all year, second best center in the league all year. And then you that just good numbers just get cut in half, and
Yeah.
then I think that's hard to deal with. And a lot of those are bread and butters, getting the offense started, like you said, pick and roll with Cade. Now that's all out of if we have the pick and roll with them 10 times a game and it ends in 6 baskets for Duran, and then the other 2 times Cade is getting easy bunnies to sell for a little pick and pops.